What's up, guys? Do you want to learn how to pop and probe your snakes from someone who was terrible at it? Then stick around to this video because you're going to find out. Selling in the billions each year, Rainbow Mealworms is your one-stop shop for all your insect needs. Their quality feeders and A+ customer service keep me coming back to support the health and growth of all of our animals. Visit them today at rainbowmealworms.net to place your order. First of all, I think it's important to note that most people start off terrible at this exact topic. Even professionals like Billy at Mutation Creation, who can literally pop snakes with one hand, admits to not really have a comfort level palpating the snake. Whereas you might have other people who are comfortable palpating the snake, but not popping or probing. Today, popping and probing is the #1 way to tell male or female ball pythons from a young age. I'm going to be showing you some of our juveniles under 1 year old and how I've learned to pop and probe them over these last couple of days. So believe it or not, the #1 place that I think you can learn is the bathroom. It keeps things clean, and water, just like it does with us, softens up the muscles of the snake and actually helps with probing and popping. So check this out. Okay, now I've watched a lot of videos on popping, and none of them helped me as good as this last video, which talked a little bit about pressure from both sides when you're popping. Think of it as a pimple. If you only pop, or if you only try to roll from one side of the pimple, it's not going to pop as good as if you roll from both sides. So let's give it a shot right here. What I would recommend is actually getting your snake a little bit wet under the shower, and that tends to actually soften up the rectum muscles and whatnot. Just puts the snake in a mood where it's actually willing to like poo or pee, and that also softens up the muscles. And this can teach you the technique of how to roll from both sides, and then you could eventually do it without the shower water. You warm water, get them wet a little bit. Sometimes that puts them in a poo or a pee mode. Not all the time. I'm just gonna shut that off for noise sake. And this is actually the biggest snake I will have tried this on since adapting this technique, so we will see how well it'll work. And I'll do some close-ups and stuff too, but for now, see, I can kind of see he wants to pee a little bit, which is actually good. If they pee or poo, that actually loosens up their anus area. Just leave the shower water running, keeps everything clean. He's pee-peeing a little bit. There we go, a lot of pee, a little bit of poo, and his whole area is loose here, and bam! Look how easy that popped out. I know you can't really see. I'll do some close-ups for you. Again, when the snake is peeing and pooing, its rectum is actually really loose and bam, pops right out. Okay? Now your other option is after you've wet the snake and maybe after it pees or poos a little bit, you take it back to the snake room or a dry environment and you can pop it there, but it still might pee a little bit. This is where I'm gonna show you a close-up. Okay, now that the snake's rectum is a little bit loose, I have this container beneath me that will catch any poo or pee, so easily can be washed. And we're going to do the same thing, and bam, you can see just how easy that hemipene pops out. And I used to be really bad at this. Let me show you again the technique. I'm sure you've seen it a million times. You're simply just pressing and holding the snake on one side of the anus right here, and then you're kind of going about halfway down the tail. See that? About halfway down the tail. My thumb is rolling and pushing this way, and this thumb is pushing pressure this way. So it's almost like popping a pimple, pushing from both ends. Sometimes you got to bend it backwards a little bit and redo it. Bam, there we go. And it's not that red anymore because I, washed it, but I can see the hemipenes popping out. Probing, how do we do that? So I bought this lubricant from Walmart. It's similar to KY jelly, but it is just personal lubricant. It is water-based, so no chemicals, no nothing. You're just gonna take a small glob of that and put it on the snake's rectum and just kind of rub it in there. You can't really overdo the lubricant when it comes to safety and whatnot. And so you're gonna obviously hold the snake's rectum and tail straight. You're gonna go in, and it basically has a hemipene on this side and a hemipene on that side, which are like little canals canals, and this little probe is going to go up into those little canals, and since it's a male, we're going to confirm that it's going to go pretty deep. It's going to go about halfway down the tail. Females will only go about a third. So I'm just lightly pressing, and this is a pretty small probe, you can see, compared to the snake, and you're just being gentle. That way you don't poke any holes in the snake or anything. Sometimes you could do like a little twisting or something like that, but for the most part, it's just going to go in. You go on one side of the snake, it's just going to go into that pocket, and you'll lightly, I'm just very lightly pressing forward, and as I'm very lightly pressing forward, that is about the ceiling cap right there. I can feel a little bit of back pressure, and you can see how far in that went into the snake, about halfway. And you could do the other side if you want. Sometimes you can kind of push up, see that, where you can see the probe moving. You could push up a little bit, just very lightly, just so you don't get any blockages or anything like that. And right there, I mean, once it goes in that deep, you pretty much know you're dealing with a male anyway, so you don't have to try to force it any deeper. The females are the ones that are more difficult and confusing, because you don't know if the probe is really come to a stop or if the probe is just like hitting a piece of skin and kind of jamming. I've had that happen with males where I think it's a female because the probe doesn't go in, but then I wind up popping it and probing it later and the probe goes in deeper. So that's why it's good to know how to do both. So we're going to put this boy back and we will do a female. Thank you, buddy. You were great. Okay, now if you really want to be sanitary, between each snake, just rinse off the probe and rinse off the tub if the snake happens to poo or pee in the tub. And I always rinse off the probe just for sanitary purposes. And I never have a cup of lubricant just sitting that I'm dabbing into, because then you're basically taking the anal germs and whatnot from one snake and dipping and dabbing like French fries into ketchup for every snake after. So I just put drops onto the rectum of each snake as it comes. After both popping and probing to confirm gender, I will now write down in green that I know for sure this is a male. All right, and we're gonna do a decent sized female. Again, when I started to realize that I really had this technique down, I was not doing snakes this big. It was snakes about half this thickness. So today is actually a really great opportunity for me to show that this technique works. So I'm going to take her to the shower, get her wet, let her poo or pee, whatever she needs to do, and then I'll bring her back here for demonstration for you guys. Okay, now I should mention, not every snake is going to let you give them a shower, probe them, pop them as easy as the snake before. Just keep that in mind, that you might have to play around a little differently with different snakes. And this snake actually has a really short tail. It's very interesting. Let me show you what popping a female is going to look like. So I'm just letting her body sit in this plastic tub here. I kind of feel like she might have a little bit of poo, so I'm going to take her back to the shower just in case she poos, and then I'll be back. Okay, so she definitely had a little poo-poo in her. I think I was able to squeeze it all out for the most part. If they do have poo-poo, you'll often feel that this area is a little bit squishy, and you'll start to hear sounds, and they'll just wind up pooing. Now you can see this area is much more concave and like not filled, and it's going to be the same technique. You know, you're pressing a little bit behind the anus, a little bit halfway down the tail or so, and you're rolling together. Both are kind of pushing together, although this thumb is never moving, like it's just staying stationary. It's just applying pressure forward, and this thumb is actually rolling and applying a pressure forward. So they're both applying pressure forward. I hope we don't have more. Hear that? And you can see basically what a female looks like is not a lot of red. She's going to have these little white nubular scent glands here, but that is not like a male, which will have these actual red tubular things called hemipenes that will pop out. Now that we've seen what we needed to on her, we're going to do the confirmation of probing test. Going to just drop a little drop there. Again, I don't want her anus to contaminate any other snakes, so I'm just going to rub it here and make sure that no other snakes come in contact with this. And we are holding her tail straight here, and again there's going to be a pocket on this side and a pocket on this side, but for females that pocket should be very short. Sometimes they'll poo or pee a little if you're doing this to them, but again, you can just go into the anus and then try to go right, go into the anus and try to go left. Either way, you should hit a stopping point very fast. See, I hit a stopping point. You can see it moving on her body there. That's her hemipene canal area there, which, you know, she doesn't have hemipenes. She has a shorter canal than the male. Let's check the other side. Yep, it's stopping at the same point, which is that short. So you could definitely see that's not going in halfway up her tail. It's way less than halfway. And so this lovely gal is a confirmed female. Okay guys, now one of the reasons I really wanted to make this video is because I'm super encouraged. I've been doing ball pythons for about a year now, and so just learning husbandry, care, a little bit of breeding, different preferences that you could either adapt or not adapt in your care routine has been my focus this year. I put a little bit of time and focus into popping and probing, and I was getting so frustrated because I didn't feel like I could do it. So yesterday when I tried this new technique, I was so encouraged. And today when I was going through my room and confirming all the genders of our juvenile snakes, I was like, I might as well shoot the video of this because it's fresh in my mind of what I am doing. So again, what you're basically doing is instead of just rolling from one side, like I've seen a lot of people mention that. All the videos I watched, great people, great advice, but it never worked for me. This girl is too movie. I'm gonna have to put her away. Let's find another nice ball python we could look at. I wanna show this one really bad, but it usually poos when it's out. Well, I shouldn't say usually. It was when this girl was younger. So let's give her another chance. Let's see what happens. If she poos on me, I'll just have to shower. So the first snake in this video that I showed in the intro, that was a super pastel puzzle because we're working heavily with the puzzle. This is a pastel puzzle, cryptic or weirdo, whatever's floating around in Ozzy Bowen's collection. It is a female, so we are going to be looking forward to breeding this girl, and you can see a little bit of her pattern. You know, when you mix the puzzle with the cryptic, they both have a really like jagged puzzle piece slash like hieroglyphic look to them. So when you do that, it just kind of combines that hieroglyphic look into a snake that looks like this. We don't officially know if the weirdo gene is the cryptic gene in Ozzy Bowen's collection, but I'm sure he'll let us know as soon as he confirms it or not. So I'm gonna let this girl hang here just so I can show you. Again, I had a lot of zits when I was younger, so popping pimples, I guess this makes sense to me. You know, if I had a pimple right here, you're gonna push from both sides and the pus is gonna come out. So it's the same with the private part of the snake. You're gonna, as I'm sure you've seen a million times, you're gonna grab it from both ends of the anus, halfway down the tail on one end, and right behind the anus on the other end, and you're going to roll together. You see that? Picture your hands rolling together. And you are applying a little bit of downward force in the same way that with the pimple, you're trying to squeeze down and up at the same time. Like you're trying to squeeze down into the bottom roots of the pimple so that it pops the pus up. It's the same with the snake. If I could picture it that way, you're taking both sides of the snake and you're going down and together, down and together. So let me know if you have any questions. I hope that this video helped you. I just wanted to share the good news that now I'm pretty comfortable popping and probing. And again, it's good to do both because then you can confirm gender for sure. So I thank you guys for sticking around this video. I thank this girl because she did not poo or pee on me this time. And we need a name for her. Look at her beautiful, it kind of looks very giraffe-like around her neck. Very bright. That's kind of that cryptic in the puzzle. It kind of rides the pattern up a little bit. And then the puzzle throws a lot of those muscle markings as we've talked about in our previous puzzle videos. So please, name recommendations for this girl. I'll see you in the next video. Have a geeky gecko great day. Ciao.